Hello. Okay, we're going to start on our mat. So, sitting down with your feet facing the front of your mat. This is a really good practice to do in the morning, or if you just need a little bit of energy, just to get you kind of moving. So, you can use it anytime you need a pick me up. So, with your feet facing forward and your hands just behind your hips, we're going to just start by lifting the hips up a little bit off the floor so we can hover the hips off the floor here, pressing into the palms of the hands. We're going to tilt the pelvis down towards the ground. So we're tucking the pelvis strongly so that when we lie down, we're imprinting the lower back on the mat. And we want the spine to be really long, so I'm walking my neck out away from my shoulders, placing my head down, and I can even use my hands to pull my shoulder blades away from my spine. So I'm giving my back as much space as I can here. And we're just going to start here getting in touch with the breath. So breathing in as deeply as you can. We're going to try and breathe all the way into the back ribs, and you can feel the contact here with the ground. So it's a really nice place to kind of get into that back breathing. So letting the body be nice and heavy. Let yourself really relax into the mat. Every inhalation is a chance to fill up the lungs, and every exhalation is a chance to release tension. I'd like to invite you to also let your shoulders drop. Let your collarbones kind of widen and sink down away from the chin. And you can let the chin fall in towards the chest, so it's sort of like a double chin we've got going on here. Good. Try and let the heels be very weighted as well. Keep pulling those inhalations into the back ribs. And if you need, you can even audibly exhale. If you need a little bit of help releasing. You can even now walk the feet to the outer edges of the mat and kind of let the knees knock in towards each other. The knees might not touch, especially if you have a tighter outer hip or IT band. So it's okay if they don't touch. We're just going to let them fall in a little bit. Now we're going to table our shins. So our shins are parallel-ish to the mat. And we're just going to tuck our knees in towards the chest. Take your hands around the shins and try and touch your nose or your forehead to the knees. Good. So scooping the lower belly up and in. And as you inhale, you're going to open this whole thing up, trying to keep your lower back on the ground as best you can. Good. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, exhale, and on an inhale, open up. Nice. Exhale, bring it back. Knee to nose, tuck the whole thing in, exhale completely, and inhale, open up. Try to keep that lower back on the ground if you can. Inhale, nose to knees, exhale, good. Inhale here. Now I'm just going to pull my right knee in towards my chest and again try and get my lower back on the ground. So you can start with the back of the pelvis pressing against the mat. And I'm going to extend my left leg up towards the ceiling and slowly lower it. And I'm lowering it slowly because I'm trying to be very mindful of keeping the back of my pelvis on the ground. So do not let your lower back lift up off the ground. So you can really extend through the left hip flexor. You might even find it easier to focus on pulling the right knee in towards the chest, remembering to inhale here and exhale deeply into that left hip flexor. If you don't feel a stretch at all, try internally rotating your left leg. So your left leg kind of rotates, spirals in towards the right one. Inhale, bring it back. Bring the knee back, knees back to the nose. Good, and lower the head back down. Let's do the other side. So drawing the left knee in towards the chest, straightening the right leg out. Think of someone pulling your leg sort of out of its socket and then pulling it out. So we really think of lengthening through the hip flexor. Pulling the left knee in towards the chest will really help keep our lower back down. And breathe here. You can even try and keep your inhalations and exhalations the same length and traveling to the end of each breath. So gently pulling the left knee into the chest, lengthening through the right leg. Good. Inhale, bring the right leg back, wrap the hands around both knees, and again, lift that nose in towards your knees. Good. Now we're going to roll up. So you can round the spine. We're going to roll a few times. This should be fun. It doesn't have to be graceful. And from there, we can walk back into a tabletop position. So tabletop position is something comfortable, something that feels stable. Generally, we want the shoulders above the wrists and the hips above the knees. And here I'm going to kind of practice my up dog. So I'm pressing my pinky toes firmly into the mat. So we're supposed to do this in our up dogs. I find it harder to access in that pose, so I always practice it in my tabletops. So from here, we're going to move through some cat-cows. So cow, we drop the belly down, move the sternum forward, and the head lifts last. So I invite you to initiate this movement from the pelvis instead of using your head and shoulders to lead, which we kind of tend to do. And it's okay if you do that, just take note of it and try to lead it from the pelvis. So dropping the pelvis towards the floor, think of really rolling the shoulders back as you do this. And then as we exhale, we move into our cat. So puffing up the back of the chest, strongly tucking the pelvis towards the heels. Inhale, find your cow. Good. Exhale, going back into cat. Really think of puffing up the space between the shoulder blades. And I'm going to go up onto my fingertips here to make an angry cat. I think of like a Halloween cat shape. I'm really exaggerating the motion so my body understands what I'm trying to do here. Really strong tuck through the pelvis. Inhale, find the palms of the hands, moving the chest forward again. You can even draw the shoulder blades back here. Good. Exhale, find your cat. Going for angry cat if that feels good to you. Can be a really nice kind of stretch through the back of the body as well. And inhaling for cow. Good. So I'm cueing inhalations and exhalations, but I'd really like you move in your own time with your own breath. Your movements might be shorter or longer. That's okay. Don't try too much to move with my cueing. Good. And we're going to move a little bit side to side. So shoulder moves towards the hip, inhale to the center, and then the other shoulder moves towards the other hip. So again, moving in time with the breath. Inhales will bring you back to the center. Okay, here is the fun part. So we're going to lift our left hand up towards the ceiling. I'm going to take my left hand behind my head. And I'm going to look towards the elbow, and I want you to watch my hips. So you don't want your hips to drop down towards the ground or move forward, because that's cheating. That means we're using our hips and lower back to twist. And what I'm trying to do here is activate the mid back, okay, which is harder to activate and doesn't have as much movement. So you won't go very far. You're going to look towards your elbow, and it's okay if this movement is teeny tiny, okay? It doesn't need to be really big. You're just going to try and open your sternum as much as you can. And if it feels accessible, without moving the shoulder, you're just going to straighten that arm and then inhale, bring it underneath you, placing the shoulder on the mat for thread the needle. So you can use your right hand here to kind of move the stretch around into your shoulder blade. You don't really want any weight on your head. Your head is gently touching the ground. And if you want to bring the right hand back, if you feel like you want some more mobility in the chest, you can bring your right hand around the left thigh and kind of hook it there. This can be a really nice kind of gentle twist. Always looking for that breath, and I'm also pressing into my toes to take the weight a little bit out of the shoulders. Okay, we're coming back out. I'm bringing my hand now 45 degrees out. Okay, so you can go straight to the side or 45 before you lift the hand behind your head. Good. So I'm going to switch sides so you can see it from the other side. Good. You don't have to switch sides, don't worry. So getting back in your tabletop, finding that comfortable position. And now I'm just showing you some scapula push-ups, letting your spine drop between the shoulder blades and then lifting it back up. This can really solidify that movement, and we're just trying to activate a very specific part of our back, and I feel like this really helps with that. So scapula push-ups are great for this. Now I'm going to lift my right hand out, pulling it towards you. You can take it 45 degrees if that's easier. And then I'm just going to bend it, take the hand behind the head, look up towards the elbow. Try not to escape into the hips. So try and keep the hips stacked. Let's do that again. Reach the arm up, look towards the elbow. Try and breathe here. It's tough, this one, but you just want to breathe in every posture, even if it's difficult. And from here, I'm just going to try and lengthen the arm, straighten it out without moving too much. Good. Let's try that one more time, looking towards the elbow. I'm going to lengthen the arm. Nice. And then I'm going to go underneath, threading the needle, landing my shoulder on the mat, using my left hand to help control where the stretch goes. We want it out of the head, more on the shoulder, but we don't want it to be too much anywhere. So press the feet into the mat and try and find a nice deep breath here. Relaxing into the pose, kind of accepting where you're at. Okay, well done. Press into the left hand, come up, straightening the right hand one more time, or bring it to 45, and then bring the hand back of the head, look towards the elbow. I promise this is the last time. Straighten the arm. Let's go one more time, bend behind the head, look towards the elbow, straighten the arm again. Cool. All right, we can move on. I promise that is over. We're going to sink into a nice deep child's pose. You can take your knees apart if you like. And I'm just extending my arms out in front of me, forehead on the mat, relaxing the shoulders. You can go onto your spider fingers if you like. And if you do this, really let the shoulders fall down towards the mat. Good. And from here, we can take our first down dog. So moving the hips up and back, I'm going to pedal out my heels. If this is your first down dog of the day, let it be maybe a shorter one. You can also bend the knees. This can be really nice to lengthen the lower back. We did a lot of work with our arms, so see what you need to do in order to pull this shape into your legs a little bit more. I find pedaling the legs can sometimes help shift the weight. Good. The heels don't need to touch the ground, but if you want to make it a more leg-centric pose, you can bring your feet in closer and touch the heels down. We're going to find some nice deep breaths here, breathing all the way into the back body. And you're going to look forward between the hands, and we're going to do 3 tiny hops to meet our hands. So 1, 2, and the last hop, of course, will be really small. Inhale, come up halfway, lifting the chest up just like you would in cow pose. And I've got some blocks here, but you don't necessarily need blocks. I'm just using this to lengthen my spine even further, and I'm pressing very deeply into my heels before I fold in, bringing the face in towards the shins. Any amount is good. You can always bend the knees, bringing the lower belly in contact with the thighs. This can be a really nice way to fold forward for your back. Inhale all the way up. Exhale. Good. So we're in our standing mountain pose. We're going to inhale all the way up, reach towards the sky. Exhale, fold. Take a really nice long forward fold. So I'm reaching my hands out in front of me, long spine. You can't see all of my body, but you can hear what I mean. Exhale, fold in all the way. Inhale, halfway lift. Good. Take the hands back on the blocks or on the shins. Now walk the hands in front of you on the mat. We're going to jump back into a plank. Good. First plank, take a moment here. Okay, we're going to lower down really slowly into a chaturanga. So what I want you to do is you can do a couple of these scapula push-ups just like we did before. And when we lower down, we're going to pop onto the knees first, okay? And then you're going to shift your weight forward so the shoulders come above, ahead of the wrists a little bit. We're going to squeeze the elbows in towards the ribs as we lower down slowly. Good. Inhale forward. Think of cow pose. Press the toes down. We're floating into an up dog. Good. Thighs float towards the ceiling off the ground. Good. So really take a minute here. You can always lift the head if it feels right, but if it doesn't feel good on your neck, I like to tuck the chin as well. As we move into down dog, you're going to move the head down first and then the hips fly up. Find a nice down dog. Find some balance. We're going to float the right leg up. Inhale, exhale. Good. Inhale, sweep the knee in towards the nose. Shift the whole shape forward and hover. Hover for a second. And then plant the right leg between the hands, lowering into Anjaneyasana. Good. From here, we can find our nice low lunge. I want you to press your hands into your thigh, and you see how my weight is shifted forward here? I want you to try and shift your weight over the back leg, over the hips. So that's kind of your challenge in your low lunge, is can you move the weight back into the bottom leg? So I'm shifting my weight back, and from here you can experience a different kind of pose. Okay, so you can use your hands to help steer your lower belly away from the bent leg. See if you can find an even deeper bend in that front leg. So we're looking for more 90 degrees. And without moving your hips at all, without moving forward like this, I want you to stay back, and we're just going to simply straighten the back leg with as little movement as possible. And your back leg might not even straighten, but you're just going to push it back with the heel, straightening through the knee. Breathe. You can take your hands here to your hips, or you can move them up towards the sky. Good, you can do it. Try and evenly distribute the weight between both legs. Try squeezing the legs in towards each other. And most importantly, breathe. As you exhale, bring the hands down between the right foot and come back into our knee to nose shape, hovering here for a quick moment. Exhale, lift the leg back up and lower the leg down. Nice work. Okay, so now we know what's coming. We're going to do the other side. Inhale, left leg floats up. Try not to let the hip open too much. Exhale. As you inhale, bring the knee to the nose. Shift the weight forward. Hover. And then as slowly as you can, land that left foot coming into Anjaneyasana. So we got to find the correct low lunge shape again. So instead of being in this forward runner's lunge, we're going to just shift our shoulders above the hips into this nice, more difficult low lunge. And so find your breath. Find that nice 90-degree bend in the front leg. And then here we go, without leaning forward, without moving the hips up. We're just going to straighten that back leg, stretching through the knee, working that back glutes. I know it's a lot. You can take your hands to your hips or prayer or lift up. I did a little wobble there. That's good. Find your stability. And try and take really deep breaths in this pose. Just one more. Exhale, frame the foot with the hands. Lift back into our knee to nose shape and hover here for just a moment. Exhale, inhale, bring the leg back out and down. Back in our down dog. Enjoy it. It's brief. Lifting the right leg back up again. Good. This time we're going to open the hip up, bend the knee, let the right hip open up to the side. Should feel so nice. You can look back towards your floating foot. It's okay if your left heel doesn't touch the ground here, but it can be nice to kind of find that stability. We're going to drop the foot down and stretch through the left leg, opening up the chest for Wild Thing. Breathing deeply, opening the chest. Use the glutes, thrusting the hips forward. And how do you find your way back? Because that's the tricky part. Good. Exhale. If you didn't quite get it that time, let's do the other leg. Inhale, open up. Bend at the knee, open through the hips. And you can look back towards your toes. Good. Now dropping, I'm going to do it slow motion. See, I'm dropping my hips, then I'm straightening the opposite leg, really pushing through the foot, opening through the chest. All that back work we did, we're going to put it to use. And to find your way back, I'm going to go back, out, and then in. It's nice to do these repetitive motions sometimes. One more time. Exhale, inhale, flip it. As gracefully as you can manage. Good, and we find our way back into down dog. Look forward between the hands. We're going to do our little jumps. 1, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more jump, just a little one. Inhale and exhale. Good. Come up halfway, inhalation here, and exhale. If you have blocks, it can be nice to have these to support a nice long spine. You can use the floor or you can place your hands on your shins. Right leg is going to float out. Think of moving back first. Okay, so moving through the heel, we're going to do pulses 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. Exhale, body comes forward, leg moves up, move the nose in towards the shin any amount, press the floor away with your standing leg. Really trust the standing leg so the left leg presses into the floor. Now we're going to inhale, come through, lift the knee up towards the chest, just like when we were lying down. And you really want your standing leg here to be everything. We can straighten the leg or keep it bent. So if you keep it bent, you can grab the foot. If you straighten it, you can go for the big toe or you can grab the calf, whatever works for you. Grabbing the outside edge of the foot with the opposite hand, look towards your right. Nice twist. Keep that left leg straight. It's hard, but try and keep it straight. It'll really support you. Good. Coming back to the center, bending the leg. Exhale, we're going back down. Inhale here a moment, straighten the spine. As you exhale, try and lift the leg one more time. Doesn't matter how high it goes. Just engage the glute. Good. Dropping back down. And we're going to rinse that out with a deep forward fold. Beautiful. Inhale, halfway lift. Find that length again. Now the left leg bends and I'm going to extend it back. Take your time to really ground through the right leg. So your standing leg really being the foundation. And if your standing leg is really strong, you can do whatever you want with your floating leg. Okay, so standing leg is strong. Extending the left leg up for our pulses. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And now, oh, did an extra one there. We're going to fold in, knee towards your shin, and leg goes up any amount. Think, instead of thinking of it going up, think of just engaging the hamstring and the glute and see how far that gets you. Good. Inhale, bring it in, just like we were doing our knee to nose. Wobbling is always a good sign. And we're going to bring the knee in towards the chest, scoop the lower belly in and up, ground through the standing leg. Good. From here, if you want to try and extend, either grab the outside of the foot or the calf. But if you see a deep bend in your leg, try and straighten it. Maybe you need to just do a modified version with the extended leg bent, and then go for the twist. So we're going to grab the outside of the extended leg with the opposite hand, move the chest towards the extended leg. Good. You can place your hand on your hip. Take a nice deep breath here. And come back to center. Good. Yeah, standing balances are fun. On the days that you have balance, they're fun. Okay, we're going to send this whole thing back. So right leg is strong, left leg shoots back, and we're back in our low lunge. Anjaneyasana. Beautiful. Setting up for one of my favorite postures to just hang out in, pigeon. So if you are not a fan of this posture or you need a little bit of help today, place a block under your right thigh. In this variation, make sure that you bring, instead of like I'm showing you how not to do it, this is fire log pose here. What I want you to do is to bring your heel in towards the thigh and try and drop your left hip down towards the ground. So what I'm starting with here is an active pigeon. I'm squeezing my legs together. I'm squeezing my legs together enough that you're actually going to see me lift up off the ground. Okay, I'm just showing you the amount of strength that needs to be in this active posture. And by placing your hands behind your head, you're really going to activate your upper back, okay? So you can take that variation, the active variation, or you can exhale down into a sleeping pigeon. So I'm letting you decide, pick your poison. It really depends what kind of day you're having. Either way, we're going to spend a few nice deep breaths here. Remembering that deep breath. Really melting the left hip down. If you want to keep the leg, that back leg, you want to keep it slightly active, so press the foot into the mat. Good. As we inhale, we're going to slowly lift the upper body, turn the hips to the center, and come into a straddle for just a moment, and we're going to move to the other side. Good. As gracefully as we can. You can bring the left heel to your thigh now. Remember, we're really activating that back leg. So when you look behind you, I want you to see your back leg straight behind you. It's not splayed out to the side. Your right hip is constantly descending towards your left heel. And please use a block on the bent leg. It really does help at first. Okay, so think of rising up out of the ground. Try not to get too much of a crunch in your lower back. Bring your hands behind your head. Activate the upper back, squeeze the legs together, kind of rising off the ground. And from here, you can decide to stay in your active pigeon. You can even do active pigeon with your hands on the ground to support you, spider fingers, or you can take this variation with a sleeping pigeon and lower yourself to the floor. I really love this posture. It's really easy as well to just flop into it. But for today, I would like you to keep that back leg engaged by pressing the top of your foot on the mat. All right. Deep breaths. Breathe all the way into the back ribs. All right, coming up out of this one nice and slowly, finding our hips at the center. Great. For a little straddle here. And then we're just going to bring our feet together into this diamond shape and relax here. So I've got blocks, something to rest your head on, and your heels are further away from your hips. They're not very close to your hips. I need something for you to put your head on. So even if you know that your head can touch the ground, we're going to start higher up and we can always work our way down. So take your time and always give your body the space it needs to arrive. There's no rush. So we're in our diamond shape here. There's no need to push the knees down, but I am pressing the kind of knife edge of my foot into the floor. I always like to keep a little bit of activity in the legs before I completely let go. Pressing your forehead down into the arms. And you don't need to use blocks like this. You can use a bolster, pillows, blanket, whatever you have handy, as long as your head has something to reach and as long as you're not using your shoulders to get down. You can even try pressing the sit bones down into the ground. You might find that as you stay in this pose, the body relaxes and you feel a bit of space open up. And if that happens, please, by all means, take away your supports and reach towards the ground. I just lowered my blocks here. Luna. If you are taking the option of a forward fold, try not to use your neck and shoulders to achieve the folds. Try and ground your sit bones down and feel the length in the lower back. So feel the lower back lengthen down and try and get the fold from there and more of the hips rather than using the shoulders and the neck, because they're often under enough strain anyway. And we'll just relax wherever we are for one more moment. As you inhale, we're going to slowly roll up, very slowly, thinking of arcing the back in a nice C shape as you come up, bringing the legs together, and we're going to move them to the front of the mat, finishing our class exactly where we started. Sort of bridge, lifting the hips up and tilting them back, giving our back nice length, space, lifting the head up, pulling the neck long. You can even bring your heels to the outside of the mat, knocking the knees in. Relaxing the shoulders so shoulder heads fall away. And if you want here, you can extend the legs out and relax for Shavasana. Maybe take a couple audible breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. Releasing anything that you don't need. So you can stay in this position, or you can lift your hands up to your ears. So we're going to take our hands behind our ears where our ear and jaw meet. And you're just going to loosen this area a little bit with your hands around the jaw. You can also bring your hands up to your temples and massage these. This can be really nice. I also like to use the palms of the hands to move the eyebrows apart a little bit. Also the temples and the hairline. And take our hands and place them over the eyes, and we're going to rub your palms against the sockets of your eyes where your cheekbones are. Just gently press against this area. And relax the hands back down. And you can come up slowly to a seated position. Just want to thank you for attending this little class. It's small class, a lot of talking. My classes are generally a little bit longer, but I thought it would be nice just to do a quick little class that you can use over the holidays. Thank you so much.